The fourth and most important phase is the phase of transmutation itself. The most important phase is the phase I call the transmutation phase. Our transmutation occurs when we realize the horror of the fault we committed without complacency, but at the same time we are able to let go because a deep revelation happened, allowing us to understand that in this instance the wisest thing to do is to let go, since nobody can redo the past. Letting go is the statement that we can't sort out the consequences of our fault by ourselves, as painful as it is, because it also involves third persons. Letting go is also the statement that only the neutral ground of universal wisdom, which we need to allow to flower in our hearts, can resolve such conflicts. It is at this moment that humility starts growing in us, helping us to move forward to receive the grace of divine forgiveness. Our first implicit step towards a benevolent rebuilding of all parties included. When we receive the grace of forgiveness, we might still suffer a long battle between the resistance of our pride to accept it and the candor of our newborn humility before we can totally accept it and live it. It is then very important to realize that this only requires a simple act of our will, and that we should not be concerned with our feelings at times deceiving. It could be that we will still feel very unwell, even very guilty. But we must remember that these emotions are illusions. What matters is the free act, the free choice of our will, accepting the divine forgiveness, and that we also forgave ourselves. With the same free choice, we must remember that each human being is a gradation more or less between evil and good, and that we are not the only one who need to forgive ourselves. After this personal realization of the free choice to forgive ourselves, it is now time to move forward in the universal light, transforming us, transmuting us in this new ourselves. We all know that we need to grow spiritually, continually, and to allow the divine light to build in us this new person, enriched from the past experience, which taught us humility. We know that now we are not anymore this arrogant character, so insensitive as we were before this traumatic experience. We can then be grateful that from an evil comes a greater good for all, so that our falling, which has caused so many damages, can now become at the origin of a greater good for all, because it contributed to create in us a new heart, fresh, sensitive to others' needs. Now we know that we are not only focused on the selfish demands of our ego as before. There will be some moments where the memories, pain, blame will come back. And the best thing then is to send a lot of love to our victim. If we can't do anything else to repair, we need to replace a destructive, negative emotion by a positive emotion building up, rebuilding our victim as ourselves. If we are allowed to do some good actions, positive and loving, towards a past victim, to restore that person and to repair the damage we caused, we need then to transmute our crisis in positive action to contribute creating this new reality of divine love in that person and in ourselves and between the both of us. However, sometimes our victim is incapable of forgiving us. We find ourselves in a situation where getting closer would only hurt that person more and would prevent that victim to move forward in her own road. Then we are under the obligation to keep our silence and our distance. It is then better to keep our distance than rape against the victim by imposing our presence to her, or even forcing that person to accept our actions to repair the harm we already caused, and certainly not to demand from that person her forgiveness. Sadly, sometimes it is already too late because our former victim is not in our world anymore and passed out. It is then important to realize that everything occurs spiritually from inside and through telepathy. By allowing wisdom, light, divine, universal love to transform us and to change us, we contribute at the same time to the good of the victim, whether she wants it or not, whether she is physically present or not. So, armed with this knowledge that any work you do on yourself will have its impact on the whole universe, including the one of the victim, we transmute our pain in joy. Because we understand that the real miracle is that now we became this new sensitive creature, caring for others and able to live through our higher divine self in the highest good, rather than being slaves of our ego like in the past. So we need to realize that even when the only repair we can offer is to pray for the victim or to send her loving thoughts to rebuild her, we not only contribute to heal that person, but also to heal ourselves and to rebuild ourselves. So that now we are this new person, this new creation that we learn to love and that we learn to respect as much as our former victim. Before, we could only see the world through a dark and sometimes malevolent ego. We even hated ourselves. But now we can see all, including ourselves, through the divine universal love, benevolent and loving kindness. And now we can visualize a better future for ourselves and for our former victim, even if it is only through our spiritual eyes. It is only through the eyes of our heart energy that we can finally see the real spiritual reality and receive true eternal joy.